But there's no freedom without privacy. And over the years, as Bitcoin has scaled, regulated, and inevitably integrated into mainstream finance, privacy has become a battleground that is fiercely fought over. For many of us in the room today, and for the following speakers, privacy is the very soul of Bitcoin, and we must fight to keep it pure. The following gentlemen have spent years, actually maybe decades, I think it's decades, fighting for, defending, and advocating for true financial privacy. We will have the likes of Max Hillebrand, who is a cypherpunk, he is a Wasabi wallet and white noise contributor, and he's a privacy pirate. We have Seth for privacy, the VP at Cake Wallet, and a general privacy wizard. We have Odell, a partner at 1031, the co-founder of OpenSats, and a privacy ninja. And we have Rockstar Dev. Today he is Rockstar Dev the Black. But we can't actually verify that it is Rockstar, so we're just going to assume it is. The Bitcoin uncle and longtime privacy advocate. And to lead this discussion, we have one of the sharpest minds in Bitcoin education, the one and only Giacomo Zucco. He is a consultant, an educator. I haven't finished. Educator at Plan B Network, and he's the lead singer. Amateur comedian, lead singer of Italian sensation Toxicità and the Privacy Musketeer. Please give it up for my wonderful panel and why privacy matters. Take it away, guys.
Yeah, the lead singer role took a toll on my voice yesterday, so the panelist role will be harder. Anyway, before we start, Rockstar Dev takes privacy so seriously that we're not even sure it's him. So we need some kind of sign, some kind of mirror. Do we have something for him to identify Rockstar, maybe? Okay. Okay, it's him. Okay, it's him. Proof of trash. That's him. Okay, that's good. So let's start with something. Within this panel, there are a lot of potential disagreements. And I see Seth, I block him on Twitter every other week. And so we can disagree a lot. But I think now we are on block, I will check. But there are also some things we are all on the same page about. And one of that is that Bitcoin is made for privacy, it only works with privacy. It's a privacy tool and cannot be anything else. Particularly, I like to say that in Bitcoin, you have at least 3 layers of privacy. One is your private keys. If that's not private, other people will move your coins. The second is the connection between your public key and your identity. If it's not private, somebody will come into your house with a wrench and convince you to reveal the first. And then the third is the connection among your different public keys, because if they are all connected, one leak on one will basically extend to everything else. So Bitcoin is just a privacy tool, and we agree on this. Now, let's move to something where we disagree more about. Before we enter that, actually, I can also change the shirt because this is yellow, this is too agreeable, so let me try. This is better probably for disagreement. No, we will not talk about this. I'm joking. Well, just to spice things up. So let's do a round of introduction where you also tell a bit about your unique perspective on privacy. What is your focus? What is your priority? And what is the things that you like and dislike? Let's start with Max and Seth and Matt and Rockstar.
Yeah, I'm an economist who somehow got lost in the cypherpunk rabbit hole. And so I've been building freedom tech for, well, a decade probably. And I focus a lot on the monetary side of privacy at first. So with Wasabi Wallet, we fixed blockchain level privacy to a large extent. Yeah, now I'm mainly working on Nostr, which is a cool protocol for free speech. And we found some amazing cryptography to make it very private. So that's the Marmot protocol.
Seth.
Yeah, I mean, short story, like you mentioned, Bitcoin only works when you have privacy. I think there's 2 real pillars to Bitcoin being free to money. One is self-custody. Everyone knows that. Not your keys, not your coins. Self-explanatory. The other is privacy, because if you do have self-custody, but everyone in the world, or your adversaries at least, know what you're doing with your funds or what you're trying to do, it's much easier for them to stop you from being able to do that. So it erodes the censorship resistance of Bitcoin. It erodes a lot of the freedom that it can provide. So building strong privacy tools is absolutely vital, but it's also very hard because Bitcoin is transparent by design. It is pseudonymous, has fragile pseudonymity, but it is transparent by design. It's what Satoshi wanted to do, and it has a lot of benefits, but building on top of that gets very complex. So I'm sure we'll unpack more of that as we go.
What are you working on right now?
Yeah, so I run Cake Wallet. We're focused on trying to bring privacy to Bitcoin, cutting edge things like silent payments, which are reusable addresses for Bitcoin that you can give out over and over again, and the payments can't be linked back together. Really powerful tool for receiver privacy, and then Page 1v2 as well, which helps to provide sender privacy. Both those tools don't require a central entity, a coordinator. They don't mean you have to pay a fee to somebody. They're very flexible and very resistant to regulatory attacks or anything like that. So those are two of the things we're working on. Obviously, Lightning and others as well. But yeah.
Matt, you're talking about privacy in the podcast and you're investing in privacy tech a lot. So what's your specific angle? What are your priorities within the privacy quest?
Well, I mean, I think it's interesting, right? Because Bitcoin is the best money that humanity's ever seen. But Bitcoin has a money problem. Like, it's really hard to raise money building on Bitcoin and building out Bitcoin tools. And if we expect Bitcoin to be the base of a global decentralized financial network, then we need a robust set of tools built around it. So my priorities have been focused on making it easier for people that want to build on Bitcoin to actually get enough money to actually build out their vision. And so it's twofold. It's on one side is OpenSats, which is a 501c3 charity, 100% pass through and make no money from it. Which might have been a mistake, but it's a completely volunteer operation. We've sent out over 320 grants to people in 40 plus countries. We operate on a complete Bitcoin standard. It's really fucking awesome, actually. Thank you. And then the other side, because I'm a capitalist, is a for-profit entity, which is 1031, and we support for-profit businesses building out Bitcoin as freedom money. Anyone who's tried to build out a Bitcoin business has known that it's very difficult to find value-aligned investors to be there with you that are actual Bitcoiners, and that's the mission we try to serve. On the privacy side, look, I think the reality is, the unfortunate reality is, I mean, Seth said that self-custody is a given, which, quite frankly, is hilarious. Because it isn't. I think most people that are entering the space aren't even practicing self-custody. And I think the big problem we have in Bitcoin right now is my family uses it as private freedom money. My friends use it as private freedom money. The hard part is helping more people use it. And it's like, what is that? What is the success metric? Is it 5%? Is it 10% of people are using Bitcoin as freedom money? Because I would say that we're probably around the 1-2%, maybe less number right now. And so it's not whether or not Bitcoin can be technically used privately, because it absolutely can. I do it on a daily basis. It's how do we make that more accessible to more people?
Yeah. Rockstar, what's your privacy priority right now?
I mean, you can see I'm quite a privacy advocate, right? Protecting my identity and private data. But now Rockstar Dev here, cypherpunk, Bitcoin uncle, a developer by trade. So what I do mostly nowadays in Bitcoin ecosystem is contribute to FOSS projects, advise Bitcoin companies, VC funds, travel the world, try to evangelize privacy, because there is this paradox of you need to be public in order to promote privacy, which kind of sucks. I gotta tell you that part, especially when you need to get on the mask. It's hot. But after Costa Rican jungle and a streak Matt, like, this is easy mode. Anyways, going back to what you, Giacomo, said in introduction, I 100% agree. And I think the big problem is that people look at Bitcoin and as something like, especially if they acquire it on exchange, the big problem is like KYC Bitcoin is not actual Bitcoin. It's like only no KYC Bitcoin is the Bitcoin. So if someone knows certain UTXO is attached to you, the best thing you can do is just go back to where you acquired it, whether it's exchange, go back into dirty fiat and swap it. Because unfortunately, we now have the situation where there are companies that are well-funded, Matt, and all their business model is to track the UTXOs. And this is why I think it's paramount that Bitcoin stays no KYC in a supermajority way. If we get a situation where most of the UTXOs are mapped, or governments and big corporations get the sense that they can do that, it will be a terrible situation, because we end up in a dystopia where everyone's UTXO is mapped to their identity in the real world.
I'm just gonna jump in.
Go.
This is the only panel they put me on that I'm not the moderator, so thank you, Giacomo. I think, first of all, chain surveillance companies can go fuck themselves. It's actually, it's a very profitable business, and it's mostly bullshit. But I think a key thing that I want to dial in here on your comment is, I don't think Bitcoin is KYC'd. It's the individual that's KYC'd. You're put on a list. It's the individual that's put on a list with their transaction history, with how much Bitcoin they purchased. And this, I think, is missed by a lot of people in the Bitcoin industry, which is the actual individual Bitcoin is just Bitcoin. It's completely fungible Bitcoin. The problem is if we have lists of Bitcoiners and our entire transaction history, it can be used to control us. And that should be a concern that everyone is constantly thinking about, no matter what. But if you don't think about it in the right way, if you think about it as you have an allotment of KYC Bitcoin versus an allotment of no KYC Bitcoin, it's a whole different ballgame that might seem insurmountable. But the idea that we can have a circular economy, the idea that we can, I was purchasing beers right before this panel with Bitcoin. The merchant has no idea if that's quote unquote KYC Bitcoin or not KYC Bitcoin. They're just receiving Bitcoin to their Lightning wallet. The problem is on the individual. How does that individual actually acquire the Bitcoin in the first place, and who knows how much they acquired and when they acquired it, and can they use that to control them?
I think this distinction is very relevant, because if the KYC was on the coin, on the UTXO, then a simple CoinJoin will just undo all the problem. You KYC, but then you CoinJoin, okay, now it's clean. Actually, the story sticks with the individual. It's the identity that gets connected. So coins are fairly fungible, but users are not, paradoxically, which is another problem to fix. Seth, I was seeing you a little bit about the fungibility problem. You were, as a Monero shitcoiner, we can say.
You said Monero first, not me. So you know, you
we
unlocked Pandora's
are
box.
allowed, because that's I mean, this disagreement about maximalists, and it's actually bringing on several points. One of those being fungibility at the base layer, the other being often the discussion between us between Lightning as privacy by omitting on the chain and privacy on chain, and the other one again is also this idea of the solution to the problem of censorship and blacklisting. For example, one of the things that often trigger me a lot is when people say, okay, they close my exchange account because they tracked my Bitcoin to a CoinJoin. If only used Monero, that would be fixed. No, they would just close your account even before you start, right?
You wouldn't have an account because they probably don't support Monero anyways.
So it's very important for me to enter this debate. So feel free to mention also the forbidden M word.
Oof, okay. Well, in that case, I'm going to keep you all here for 18 more minutes. So just Monero. No, I mean, when you kind of take a step back, like on the fungibility issue, I think the very important thing to remember is that yes, technically, individual Bitcoin UTXOs themselves do not have a fungibility problem. Bitcoin is money. It's social. So the only use of it is that you can actually use it to buy or sell some good and service. And the reality that we've seen is that there have been many instances of people using CoinJoin or simply acquiring their Bitcoin, even peer-to-peer, no KYC, and they get some tainted Bitcoin, and then they try to buy something, or they try to go to a centralized exchange. It's normally these like centralized regulated entities that are problematic. And then they get hurt because their Bitcoin is tainted. Obviously, that taint is applied by an outside entity that is usually using black box software that's almost complete bullshit. Like it doesn't matter if it's legitimate or not, it's the reality. And so if we have poor privacy, we do start to get this more fragmented, like white market money, black market money aspect of Bitcoin, which isn't the end of the world. The nice thing with Bitcoin is as long as I can send a transaction without censorship, and if 99% of the other Bitcoin usage is fully KYC'd and controlled, it's okay. We can still use it as freedom money for those of us who do use these more advanced tools. But that fungibility is a real concern and something we need to address. Lightning is certainly an extremely powerful tool for that. Unfortunately, most of Lightning so far has been custodial adoption, which then can still have censorship issues and can still have KYC issues and other things. But that is improving. I'm really excited for things like Spark and Arc that are going to make self-custodial Lightning much easier.
Even if Spark implementation with Wallet of Satoshi notoriously did a very bad privacy choice by basically making Lightning as trackable as on-chain. But that's
Worse. Worse. Because you can't rotate
Even worse.
addresses either.
No,
But that's poor design
It's like
decisions.
the Tron privacy model.
Basically, yeah. Basically.
Lots of people use Tron, though.
It's true. They use it for freedom, honestly.
we can later. Marcus is around, so we can shame him into
he
changing.
here?
Yeah, he's here.
Are you in the crowd, David?
I don't know. Raise your hand, David. Later we will hunt for him and we will
He
convince
didn't
him.
come to the privacy panel? I mean, come on. Come on.
I know where he is. So speaking about Lightning again, of course, there's a lot of skepticism. In theory, it's better not to put stuff on chain on every node forever. So Lightning should be a privacy technique, but then implementation matters. Lightning is very complex on its own. Even Arc, which was initially proposed as a pool, which was including some kind of tumbling. Now the two main implementations have very little privacy. They are fairly private, but they are not the advanced techniques that were presented in the original paper because of practicality. Yeah, I think that Wasabi sponsored a huge bounty for any kind of Wasabi, as all the CoinJoin wallets, was basically an on-chain privacy tool to use the blockchain obfuscating stuff by putting more input and more outputs from different people. You put a bounty about Lightning integration with Wasabi. How did it end? Did you receive something interesting? What were the main showstopper to make off-chain the real privacy frontier?
Yeah, we set out to solve blockchain privacy because, well, that's layer one. That's where we have to start, and Lightning is a really promising approach because there's basically two ways to address blockchain level privacy in Bitcoin. There's CoinJoins, which is basically the merging of transaction histories, and then there's coin swaps, which is the exchange of transaction history, so to say. Lightning Network is a coin swap protocol that settles the swaps off chain, right? And that makes already by default a great privacy improvement because not everyone has to validate every transaction, which is in and of itself a big improvement. But there's many aspects of the Lightning Network that since the inception had great improvement potential in regards to privacy. And so we specifically funded the research on how could we create a light client Lightning node or wallet that is privacy maximized or optimized, let's say, because it's hard. And we found a lot of obvious things that can be done, and by now actually in the Lightning protocol and many implementations they are addressed, things like short channel aliases or taproot channels, multipath routing, etc. Yeah, we never really got it into Wasabi because it's so much work. Like Lightning is really tough, and Wasabi is written in C#, which doesn't have great developer tooling, specifically in the Lightning ecosystem. So I guess developer tooling is incredibly important, right? And that's why I'm very bullish on, for example, Rust. Right? There's with Bitcoin developer kit.
Yeah, rewrite everything in Rust.
Yeah.
I already see Rust developers getting excited.
Yeah.
We got one.
So no, Lightning is hard, and there's a lot of other things that have to be addressed first. So it's just a kind of prioritization aspect.
Rockstar, BTC Pay server and privacy. BTC Pay server is basically beside the privacy-oriented specific niche wallets like Wasabi, Samurai. It was the only mainstream tool that integrated PayJoin, for example, the PayJoin standard. So there was a very strong focus on privacy in the BTC Pay server. How is that going? How much of the work you're doing there is to maximize privacy, and how much is the use of this tool? Like, do you have any feedback about how many users are using PayJoin actually?
Yeah, since we're maximizing privacy, that's always fun because we don't collect data analytics.
Right, you can know.
So, yeah, I can't know.
Tricky question.
But every conference I get approached by people. It happened here in Lugano as well. Like, hey, take a look at my BTC Pay server. yeah, this is working, this is not working. Usually the solution is you just need to update to the latest version and then update plugins now as well, because we have a plugin system through which we support Monero. So Seth helped with
I'm
that.
surrounded
Are we gonna
here.
clap
At
for
least Max,
shitcoins?
at least you help me out.
No, I actually love that model because a lot of us at BTC Pay server team were getting flack from Bitcoin maxis, and we didn't know how to explain, like, hey, man, we don't spend time on this. But I'm glad that even we got that pressure because it pushed us to develop this modular architecture of BTC Pay server where you can now plug and play. And us at core team, we're not interested in Monero. We're focusing on Bitcoin and the core infrastructure. And then there are great developers that are, like, I respect a lot of people in Monero community from technical side. You don't, Matt? You're like this?
He doesn't like free and open source.
50 years ago, you say the same things about gay friends. I have a lot of Monero friends.
No,
Anyway, Rockstar, this is also
so
the
many
way we
Monero
met each
friends.
other, right? I was, me and Francis were giving you a lot of shit for the Monero integration, right? So we did a call.
I think that's when we first met. It's like it was 2019. Riga, Francis was giving me
Shitcoin
shit
brought us together.
for being supporting Litecoin. On
No, because I was like doing a commit for Dogecoin, and then you guys were so possessive of my developer time that you were like, he even took it to X and was like, Rockstar is a shitcoiner, BTC Pay server team is terrible. I'm like, okay, man, like, try to bully me, don't do the team. And then we met in Riga. I was like, okay, let's go. Who will bully who? And I proposed that we do a drinking match and do push-ups. And the first one to throw up is the loser.
And since Dogecoin is still supported, I guess you lost.
No, what happened? What happened was, like, it was 2 a.m. and some Turkish guys were chasing me. I don't know where he was.
Okay,
So-
sorry, I'm the moderator. I think we're going off topic. But this is great, but we will do it later.
What a tangent.
Let's get back to privacy. There is a great, sorry, Rockstar.
Can't finish the story. Okay.
Is it short?
It's
No.
done. It's done.
So Mir actually was telling me about a great sentence by Matt early on in the conference, which was make freedom profitable, right? Is that correct? And I was talking with her. I was thinking, actually, that's not enough, because a lot of freedom things over the internet are profitable, including centralized mixers, but they are illegal. So the real trilemma is make freedom also, profitable and maybe even to some degree legal, which is way harder than just make it profitable. Because if you want to go full black market, that's pretty easy to become profitable. So this is also something that I will later ask to Max about the famous coordinator controversy. So what is the strategy to make something, making money and maximizing privacy and individual freedom, but also minimizing legal risk, because you're doing that as a legal entity which is investing in a legal incorporated startup. You're not just paying sets to anonymous Tor developers.
Well, look, the problem is so, like, I wear two hats. I literally wear two hats. One is OpenSats and one is 1031. And with OpenSats, it's a forever grind of raising donatable funds, right? Like, I need charity funds, and, like, you get tax deductions, and everyone should go to opensats.org/donate and consider supporting OpenSats. But it's a forever grind on that front. The cool thing about capitalism, the cool thing about for-profit startups, is that you can actually create a sustainable flywheel that doesn't require me traveling around the world constantly trying to get people to donate to your project. And so that should be the goal. And so when I try and distill it down to let's make freedom profitable, is like, if you look at how the internet was built out, it was actually built out basically on slavery tech. Like, they are surveilling everything you do. They're selling it to advertisers. They're milking you like you're a data cow. And, like, that is the business model that big tech has run on. And I think there is a better way. I think it's the harder way. Now, to the CoinJoin part, I think that was fantastic. We hit a roadblock, which was gulags. And there's ways that we can try and push back against that. Another piece of my work that's a little bit quieter is Bitcoin Policy Institute, where we're trying to create the legal landscape in America that's better, but that you're doing that on a jurisdiction by jurisdiction basis. And the main priority on that side is that I'm raising my family in America. I'm an American first. I love Switzerland. Switzerland's awesome, but I really care that my own government is not trying to throw us into prisons. So we're focusing on that. And I think one of the things that Adam Back has talked about a lot from the early cypherpunk movement is that you have to be multifaceted. You have to think about policy and legal and profitability and tooling and education. You have to think about all of these things combined. But if just real quick on the Lightning side is so at 1031 we're the largest investor in Strike. Strike has been profitable for 5 quarters straight. They're making a ton of money. They stack it all into Bitcoin. 90% of their treasury is in Bitcoin. They're keeping a big Bitcoin treasury. It's growing over time because they're profitable. And one of the things that they normalized in America that Coinbase never normalized, that Gemini never normalized, is this idea of Lightning deposits and withdrawals. And one of the cool aspects of this is if you deposit via Lightning to a KYC regulated exchange like Strike, they have no idea what UTXO you funded it with. And why is that support there? That support there is there because it's cheaper for the user and it's cheaper for the exchange. It's way better if most deposits come in through Lightning, and the exchange has no idea what UTXO funded that transaction. And so if you start to distill stuff like that, and you add a profit motive on top of it, then you have a sustainable flywheel where all of a sudden our children will live in a way, way better world. And we don't have to rely on donation funding to make that a reality.
Yeah, and may I jump in here? Because first of all, next
If
panel...
on topic.
No, listen, next panel we got to do an hour, so you don't feel the time pressure. I can tell cool stories. But I wanted to add on what Matt is saying. Like, we got to realize that we are not living in a free society. That's the biggest problem. Because what Matt was saying about profitable Bitcoin companies. Hey, Max, you created one. But then what happened? Government shut that down. So we got to realize that, unfortunately, we are ruled in this system by politicians, bureaucrats, psychopaths that are trying to collect as much private data from people as possible. And by us, freedom, by us doing the work every day, pushing Bitcoin forward, promoting privacy, going with no privacy, no freedom, we are making a world better for them as well. So I think that's really important to recognize.
Absolutely, absolutely. Max, let's go back to the government shut it down things. You shut it down yourself before the government came. Inside, I think we could argue that the choice was prudent because of what happened to competitors. But for example, we were talking about Lightning. Boltz is running this kind of centralized swap coin swapping market, getting fees out of that in a very cypherpunk way. Pure Satoshi fees. That's a super cypherpunk business. It's legal, incorporated in El Salvador without a bank account. So do you think that a different jurisdiction arbitrage could still make the original Wasabi model sustainable, or after the specific circumstances in Gibraltar, you are very black-pilled about any kind of jurisdictional arbitrage about privacy services?
Yeah, I'm quite black-pilled on most jurisdictions. We inquired with good legal opinions in 20 different jurisdictions, something like this, and most were not favorable. Right, so there are always some. Right, like Prospera, maybe one to highlight. Right, a quite free economic zone. This guy gets it.
So open a coordinator.
That's Honduras, right?
Yeah. Exactly. But the thing is, cypherpunks have been at war for, 40 years, like since invention, right? Freedom tech builders get kidnapped, tortured, and killed on a regular basis. And this year as well, right? So this makes things difficult, right? Because being profitable, I think, is easy. Like the thing that was missing for profitability in the early days of the internet was money. Like we didn't have money on the internet, so how are you gonna get money from your customers? But now we have money in code, and we can just write the code that moves money from the user to the service provider, right? In many great ways, like CoinJoin coordinators, swap providers, mining pools, right? All of these have this figured out by default. So it's much more about a sustainable, resilient, and long-term lasting endeavor, and that's hard, you know. So, however, we have to see this also on the macro view, right? Like individual entities will collapse and die and be suicided, but others will survive and carry on the torch.
Natural selection. Seth, what about wallets as a business model? I remember the early days of now is a Blockstream wallet. It was a green address back then. I was trying to get investment, and the investors were asking, "Are you patenting?" No, it's all open source. Are you at least collecting something that so we can make ads? No, we're not collecting anything. Then usually Lawrence, Nahum was saying, "Actually, there is something we collect, but I'm fixing that next month." So okay, no money at the end until Blockstream. So how do you make money in a wallet? If you do, what is a business model for a wallet project that can still be privacy compliant and privacy oriented?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different pieces that combine to make a good, profitable business around something that's open source. But the real beauty of open source is that, yes, it actually makes it much harder for us. Like, we cannot have a regulatory moat. We can't have a closed source moat where you have to figure out what we're doing. It's all built in the open. If anyone wanted to clone Cake Wallet and build a company tomorrow, today, you could. Like, it's very intentional. But the huge benefit of that is that instead of these corporations benefiting through regulatory moats, through IP laws, instead you, the user, benefit. Because if we fail to provide the service or the user experience that you expect, guess what? Someone else will replace us, you'll use them, we will die. Like, that is a fantastic model where the customer truly is the one who benefits, not the corporation. And then it's on us, the onus is on us to build something that's so good that you want to use it, even if you don't have to. And that's a really beautiful thing. That's a beautiful thing that Bitcoin brings. And really, when it comes to being profitable as well, I mean, like, we have embraced that this is a multi-crypto world. Like, I'm not a Bitcoin maximalism. I never have been.
Yeah,
Right.
Have fun staying poor, yeah.
So it's basically profitable, freedom, legal, and also not scamming people with ICOs. That's a quadrangular.
I will limit.
You give them shit about Monero, but it's really Nano. You have that Nano in the wallet as well.
Okay, we have some stuff in there. Yeah, we may remove the main things that we focus on and the things that are providing.
Is XRP support coming? Oh.
Hell no.
The best way to privately use XRP is Cake Wallet. Download in your favorite app store.
It's all about Caspa now. You don't know.
No, I mean, the things we've really focused on is what is providing human freedom and human flourishing. If you look around the world, that's Bitcoin. That's Monero, because it's the most easily used privacy tool today for financial privacy. I've said this many times. I would love for Monero to not need to exist and Bitcoin to have such good privacy that Monero just dies and we forget it ever existed.
And we can work on that. But now our time is over. If you want to hear the end of the anecdote, just get Rockstar out on stage. Thank you very much, gentlemen. It was amazing.